और मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला अशरफिल अंबिया वल मुरसलीन सय्यिदिना व मौलाना अबुल क़ासिम मुहम्मद व अहले बैतिहि अत्तय्यबीन अत्ताहिरीन अल-मासूमीन अल-मज़लूमीन अल-मुंतजबीन अल-मुंतखबीन अल-मयामीन ला सिय्यमा अल इमाम अल-मुंतज़र वल हुज्जत अस्सानी अशर वल लानतु दाइमतुल बाक़ियतु अला अअदाइहिम अजमईन मिन यौम ज़ुल्मिहिम इला क़ियाम यौमिद्दीन। अल्लाहुम्मा इन्ना नरग़बु इलैका फ़ी दौलतिन करीमा तुइज़्ज़ु बिहल इस्लाम व अहला व तुज़िल्लु बिहन निफ़ाक़ व अहला व तजअलुना फ़ीहा मिनद दुआत इला ताअतिक वल क़ादति इला सबीलिक व तर्ज़ुक़ुना बिहा करामतद दुनिया वल आखिरह। रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली वजअल्नी ख़ालिसन लिवजहिकल करीम या अल्लाह। सल्लल्लाहु अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद। अम्मा बादु फ़क़द क़ाल अल्लाहु सुब्हानहु व तआला फ़िल क़ुरआनिल हकीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम ला तहसबन्नल लज़ीना क़ुतिलू फ़ी सबीलिल्लाहि अमवाता बल अहयाउन इंदा रब्बिहिम युरज़क़ून। सल्लल्लाहु अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद। Today I would like to discuss the lessons that we can derive from the tragedy of Karbala, from the life of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Of course, the biggest sacrifice in the history of mankind, unparalleled to any other incident. But here I would like to discuss what lessons that we can derive from this tragedy, especially for our youth. There are many points which are covered in different books, especially by Ayatollah al-Uzma Hazrat Allama Sayyid Ali Naqi Haqqan Sahib Allahu Maqamahu in his famous book Shaheed-e-Insaniyat. In the very end, he discusses the messages and the lessons derived from this tragedy. He discussed in length, and you will find many other things similar and other to the points mentioned in the book on internet, on different websites. There are 14 points that I have collected for today's lecture, and maybe we will continue the remaining portion tomorrow inshallah. The first and foremost, which are covered by many scholars, and this we can derive very easily from the statement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. The point is, do not accept humiliation. Of course, there is difference between humbleness and humiliation, and there is difference between arrogance and self-esteem. As far as Ilmul Akhlaq is concerned, where we discuss different values, different ethical values, there we discuss in length what is the meaning of self-esteem, what is the meaning of humbleness, what is the meaning of humiliation, and what is the meaning of arrogance. As far as Islam is concerned, Islam advocates a person should maintain his self-esteem. He should not compromise on his self-esteem. As far as arrogance is concerned, there is a very fine line between these two things. Self-esteem is appreciable. As far as arrogance is concerned, arrogance is always condemnable, takabbur and gurur. But self-esteem has to be maintained. And opposite to these two things, we see a person, if he is humble, his humbleness is always appreciated by Islam. But he should be humble. He should not consider himself a very person of very low esteem. He should not accept humiliation, disgrace by somebody else. As far as Imam Hussain alayhi salam is concerned, he mentions very clearly in his one of the statements that he delivered, Inna da'i ibn da'i qad rakazani baina isnatain. He is referring to the demands of Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad, of course, he was operating on behalf of Yazid. What Imam says, Inna da'i ibn da'i. This man, Ibn Ziyad, who has got bad character, who has got no good background, he has given me only two choices. Baina silla wa baina zilla. Baina silla wa zilla, what does this mean? He has given me an option of death, that I should embrace death. Otherwise, I need to accept humiliation. And then Imam says, وَحَيْهَاتْ مِنَّ الزِّلَّةِ. This humiliation, accepting disgrace, is very far from myself. Ya Aballahu, no, I see Almighty Allah, His commandments. Almighty does not allow me to accept humiliation. neither Allah nor my grandfather, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And further he says, the lap of Fatima Zahra salamullah alaiha, my mother, the upbringing given me by my mother, these all things compound and they do not allow me to accept humiliation at any cost. I cannot compromise on my self-esteem. You know, this becomes a very famous slogan by every revolutionary party. This is Hayhat min Nazillah. This is actually derived from the statement of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. So, here we further see Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. He mentions, other than not accepting humiliation, Almighty has given believers a choice in all matters. That there can be a situation where you have to compromise many things. But as far as humiliation is concerned, a person, if he is a believer, he is a mu'min, he is not allowed to accept humiliation. He has to maintain his self-esteem. I have said, and I would like to repeat, there is a very fine line between self-esteem and arrogance. The arrogance, that part where a person considers other inferior and considers himself superior without any good reason. As far as Islam is concerned, Islam is very clear about the standards according to which a person can gain superiority. For example, taqwa. Ya ayyuhan nas inna khalaqnakum min zakarin wa unsa wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu. Where God says, "O all human beings, I have created you from one man and one woman." And there is no other standard of superiority or priority other than taqwa, other than piety. If you are pious, then you are more honored according to Almighty Allah. In the eyes of Almighty Allah, you will be definitely honored more. But when you have taqwa, as far as your other identities are concerned, you are from a tribe, you are from a background, you are speaking a language, all fair. These are for your introduction. These are the parameters following which you introduce yourself. That this is my name, this is my father's name, this language I speak, this is my background, I belong to Fala country and Fala ilaka, Fala mohalla, that's fine. But as far as standard of priority is concerned, you can only gain honor, priority in the eyes of Almighty Allah if you gain more piety and more taqwa. This is the standard given by Almighty Allah. And it is elaborated by the Holy Prophet in his many sermons, including that he gave during Hajjatul Wada. When a person becomes muttaqi, when he becomes pious, you will not see him arrogant at all. But at that point of time, he will definitely try to maintain his self-esteem. This is what Imam Hussain is referring to. That as far as myself is concerned, I am not arrogant at all. Even when he was leaving Medina, he said that I am not going out because I want to create any disorder in the society. I am just going out in order to bring some improvement in the society. And this is not my target, to create any disharmony. Here we see Imam explains that thing. Imam says, and I repeat, other than not accepting, this is the statement of our sixth Imam, other than not accepting humiliation, Almighty has given believers a choice in all matters. We know wuzu can be replaced by tayammum. Even in many cases we see that roza, sawm, fasting is exempted. There can be many exemptions, but as far as humiliation is concerned, humiliation, a person who is a believer, he is not allowed to accept humiliation at all. He should not be a person who can be considered as badkhamis, for example, misbehaving before his mother or father. No, this is not self-esteem. This is crossing and transgressing the limits. This is not self-esteem. Self-esteem means a person should be cautious about his inner. Somebody should not take him as granted. But as far as mother is concerned, father is concerned, there is a relation which your taqwa requires to obey them, to give them due respect, and to give them due honor. This is all related to taqwa. Now, of course, this requires further detail, but I would like to stop here to move towards the next point. This was the first point that we derived from the tragedy of Karbala, the lesson. Number 2, keep an open mind. This was one of the targets of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. You will see Imam Hussain alayhi salam tries to open the thinking process. After the tragedy of Karbala, we find numerous examples. The people started thinking themselves. Before that, you will see closed thinking, People not willing to even concentrate, not willing to even think about the core issues of Islam. As far as our belief is concerned, our faith, our belief system, our aqaid, our usuluddin, roots of the religion, you will find everywhere written, even in Tawzul Masail, the basic manual that we follow for our practices. You will find there, it is very clearly mentioned. As far as usuluddin is concerned, as far as the roots of religion are concerned, you are not allowed to follow anybody blindly. Now this is really a credit goes to Fiqh Jafri only. You will not find it anywhere. I repeat, you will not find it anywhere else. This confidence you will find only in Fiqh Jafri, where we say the follower, once he is willing to follow, but before following anything, as far as roots of religion is concerned, as far as faith and belief system is concerned, he should be very clear in his mind. He should have an argument to satisfy his inner self that I am not following blindly. As far as myself is concerned, I am very clear about my aqaid, about my belief system. You will see there is a quote by Sigmund Freud, and I really like that quote. One of my colleagues, Professor Amin Khalid, he has written many books, course books, management, business communication. He was my colleague for some days. He was very senior to me, no doubt about it. In one of his books, I remember this was on business communication. Before starting a chapter, he mentioned Sigmund Freud. Now, Sigmund Freud himself was a very controversial philosopher. Many of things that he narrated were controversial and still are controversial. But this quote was fantastic, fabulous quote, where he says, Sigmund Freud, do you ever wonder if what you think is really what you think? Or you just want yourself to think you think? That's so you won't have to think about what you really think. Are you really in a thinking process? Is there any thought showering process? Or you are simply satisfying yourself that you are thinking just for the sake of thinking, you are thinking. But you are not actually thinking what you can think. You are under the influence of many things, under the influence of society, under the influence of many things you call heritage, and many other things. Fiqh Jafri has got this confidence. It allows the followers to think and revisit your aqaid, even taught by your father, even taught by your mother, even taught by your parents, even taught by your teachers. You are allowed to assess and revisit if they are correct, if they are in order or not. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, really this credit goes to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. He made this possible. Before him, people were not really inclined towards thinking process. They had very close minds, they had very close heart. Imam Hussain alayhi salam asked even the army of Yazid, you see, at the time when he was going to die, at the time of his shahada, just before his shahada, he addressed, there are many sermons of Imam Hussain alayhi salam during this process. Separate, exclusive books are written discussing the sermons and addresses of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, the statements that he delivered. One of the statements he delivered just before his shahada, when the army had already attacked him, and they were going there to attack the tents also. Imam Hussain alayhi salam addressing the army of Yazid, what he says? Imam Hussain alayhi salam says, Ya Shi'ata Abi Sufyan, Wailakum, Ya Shi'ata Abi Sufyan. O the followers of Abu Sufyan. Since we know that Yazid was the son of Muawiyah and Muawiyah was the son of Abu Sufyan. This was the lineage, this was genealogy. And they all were connected to each other somehow. At least the people there fighting against Imam Hussain alayhi salam, they were Shi'at Abi Sufyan, the followers of Abi Sufyan. What Imam says, Wailakum, woe on you, Ya Shi'ata Abi Sufyan, in lam yakun lakum dinun, if you do not have any religion. If you are submitting your will before somebody, he should be Almighty Allah, and that's all. If you are following the Prophet, this is because he is the Prophet of Almighty Allah. If you are following Imam, this is because he is appointed by Almighty Allah. So a person submitting before, ultimately he should be Almighty Allah. This should be the reason if you are following somebody. When Almighty says, Atiullah wa Atiur Rasul wa ulil amri minkum, we are very clear about the interpretation of this ayah. Atiullah means Almighty Allah. Atiur Rasul means Prophet. Wa ulil amri minkum means Aimah. Starting from Amirul Mu'mineen to Imam Zamana, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. there should be some reason. If you are submitting before somebody, there should be some reason. What Imam says, Ya Shiyata Abu Sufyan, oh the followers of Abu Sufyan, in lam yakun lakum deenun, if you don't have any religion, wa kuntum la takhafuna yawmal ma'ad, and you do not fear the hearing on the day of judgment hereafter. If you don't have that fear, and you do not believe in Almighty Allah, you do not believe in any religious commandment given by Almighty Allah, kunu ahraran fi dunyakum. Why don't you remain free in your worldly affairs? Why are you submitting before Ibn Ziyad? Why are you submitting before Yazid? You are compromising your freedom. For what good reason you are doing this? Do you find any reason to fight against me? Do you find any good reason to fight against me? There is only one reason, because you are the followers of Abu Sufyan, followers of Yazid, followers of Ibn Ziyad. But is this a good reason? Why are you following him? Why are you the followers of Abu Sufyan or Yazid or Ibn Ziyad? Do you have any good reason for that? You don't have any reason to follow him. You don't have any reason to fight against me. That means you have compromised your freedom. You are not thinking freely. And this is the basis. If a person is not willing to think properly and freely, he is not accepting religion on any logical ground. Islam, especially in particular Shiite, the Fiqh Jafri, it advocates the freedom of thinking. You should be in position, you should be able to think, assess and revisit your thoughts and your ideology. This is the second point. From this very statement, we derive this lesson of Imam Hussain alayhi salam's life, this lesson from the tragedy of Karbala. So first, don't accept humiliation. The second one, think freely. Do not be influenced from here and there. Once you accept something on the logical ground, then the details, they can be accepted because of it is the quote of Imam, it is the quote of the Prophet, or this is the ayat of Quran. But if the Quran is book of Almighty Allah, this should be assessed. If this particular personality is he appointed by Almighty Allah, this requires some proof, this requires some verification. Without any verification, why are you accepting this? This is the point I wanted to make. The third lesson that we can very easily derive from this tragedy of Karbala is deeper understanding of death. You will see there are many points which are interlinked and interrelated. A deeper understanding of death. Is death end of our life, or this is the beginning of something? Imam Hussain alayhi salam actually illustrates what is mentioned theoretically in Quran. In the verses of Quran, we see very clearly, Almighty Allah says, Kullu nafsin zaiqatul maut. One who is alive, he is going to taste death. He will have the taste of death. Nobody is exempted. Kullu nafsin zaiqatul maut. Many places in Quran. Imam Hussain alayhi salam explains, in fact illustrates practically what actually this means. We see there are very few who desire death. In Surah Jummah, you must have read this, you must have listened to this. Almighty Allah condemns Jews. At one place they claim that they are very close to Almighty Allah. They are the dear ones. They are awliya. Nahnu abna'ullah. Nahnu ahibba'uhu. We are the sons of Allah. We are the dear ones. We are very close to Almighty Allah. We are friends. And there Almighty says, Ya ayyuhalladhina hadu in za'amtum annakum awliya'u lillahi min dunin nas. O Jews, if you really believe so that you are close to Almighty Allah, you are friends of Almighty Allah, then why don't you wish, why don't you want to meet Almighty Allah? Death actually means meeting with Almighty Allah, enjoying the company of Almighty Allah. That means the curtains are lifted from your eyes, before your eyes. Almighty says, فَتَمَنَّوُ الْمَوْتِ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. You should desire for death. If you are correct in your statement, if you are truthful, if you are right in maintaining this statement, then you should wish for death to meet Almighty Allah. And Almighty says, وَلَا يَتَمَنَّوْنَهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. What they have done, after doing that, they do not qualify to meet Almighty Allah pleasingly. They will not ever will to do so, because they have not sent things which are going to welcome them. As far as Imam Hussain alayhi salam is concerned, he really deepened our comprehension and our understanding of death. There are 3 quotes from Imam Hussain alayhi salam's life I would like to share with you. Number 1, how he compares death. You see the equation drawn by Imam Hussain alayhi salam. How he compares 2 things, death with what he is comparing. This equation. Death is an adornment of life, as a necklace is an adornment of a beautiful woman. The beauty of a beautiful woman remains incomplete with such a necklace, without such a necklace. Imam Hussain alayhi salam says, if a person, if he is really a religious person, if he is believing in Almighty Allah, it is impossible to remain distant from this desire of death. Of course, he is not going to commit suicide. By this way, he is escaping from the task already given by Almighty Allah. But within those limits, what should be his desire? He should desire for that moment where he is going to meet Almighty Allah. What does this mean? By Lord, I am successful. I have gained what I wanted to. The famous statement after the strike by Ibn Muljim. What Imam Ali alayhi salam said. Here, the second statement, second quote from Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he says, and this is very famous as far as Urdu literature is concerned, death with dignity is preferable to a life lived in humiliation. Zillat ki zindagi se izzat ki maut behtar hai. Even Tipu Sultan said this. And of course he derived this from the life of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. And the third one, in his farewell to his relatives in Medina, what he said, whoever joins us will be martyred. So be very clear. And from here, we are going to link the subsequent point, that is awareness. Imam says, whoever joins us will be martyred. Those who remain behind will miss the victory. Now, this should be very clear. Those who join us will be martyred. He will not be allowed to live. He will be martyred. 1. Number 2, those who remain behind will miss the victory. That means we are going to accept this shahada, but after accepting this shahada, we are going to be victorious. Although we will not be allowed to live, breathe on this face of earth, but then we will be victorious. Awareness, what I was saying, the subsequent point, the 4th one, you will see Imam Hussain alayhi salam made it very clear to everybody where he is moving towards, what is he going to achieve, what will be the conclusion of whole this struggle. He made it very clear, especially night of Ashura in particular. As I mentioned, even before leaving Medina, he made it very clear. During his journey, he addressed many times, and many times he tried to make this point very clear. Whoever is with us, he is going to accept martyrdom, shahada. On the night of Ashura, this is the only example. Otherwise, you will not see any commander allowing his soldiers to leave the battlefield. But Karbala is really unique. In a way, Imam Hussain alayhi salam had made already very clear. This is not an ordinary war. This is not an ordinary battle where few people will be allowed to remain alive. No. Whoever is in the battlefield, he will accept shahada. Imam Hussain alayhi salam says and made very clear that if you want to leave this battlefield now. If you want to leave this battlefield now. I do not force you. I left my bay'ah, allegiance, I left. You are not forced at all. And at that point, Imam Hussain alayhi salam even stepped further, where he said, if you think your reward will be lessened because of your leaving the battlefield, I promise it will not happen. It will not be the case. Imam Hussain alayhi salam even lifted the level of those shahada by saying this. And after that, nobody turned back. Nobody left the battlefield. So awareness given by Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he did not keep his soldiers in darkness. He made this point very clear. What will be the conclusion? One. Number two, I allow you to leave. I allow you to leave this battlefield. Imam Hussain alayhi salam's awareness given to his soldiers is really unique. And this teaches us that we should not keep our followers in darkness. What is the agenda? Where we are heading towards? What is the objective? What is the mission statement? What is the policy? It should be clear, especially for the team leading the community. The team should be very clear about the objectives, the aims, the destination, the targets that particular team wants to achieve. They should be very clear. If you keep in darkness, it will result in very unhealthy conclusions. Further to this point, I would like to say the fifth point, and again this is interrelated: support the truth. In one of his speeches, Imam Hussain alayhi salam says, if a person is very clear, I would like to quote Imam Hussain alayhi salam's statement a little later. If a person is clear about the standards, if he is very clear what is truth, what is haqq, what is right and what is wrong, then he will be in position to part himself with this or that. Where he is parting, where he is going to join, this section or that section, this party or that party. For that, he needs to be clear about the standards. Imam Hussain alayhi salam says, "Ala taruna annal haqqa la yu'malu bihi." Don't you see that truth has been replaced by falsehood? This is the point where standards really got disturbed. A person, even if he wants to understand what is right and what is wrong, wrong is presented with the wrapping of right. False is presented with the wrapping of truth. And the matter becomes suspicious, matter becomes doubtful. This is what even Amirul Mu'minin says in Najul Balaga, "Yukhadhu min hadha ziksun wa min hadha ziksun." Something is taken from this side and something is taken from this side, and both are mixed and they are presented in a way where it becomes really doubtful and suspicious. The word ulil amr is taken, but then this word ulil amr is taken from Quran, and that is implemented on the character of Yazid. So he is ulil amr. Really, believe me, matter becomes suspicious from many stupids. Many who are not in position to go deepen their thinking and analyze properly. Imam says, "Ala tarawna anna al-haqqa la yu'malu bihi." Don't you see that truth has been replaced by falsehood? Truth is not followed, falsehood is followed, and it is replaced by falsehood. We must be prepared to sacrifice everything that is precious in support of truth. There is a dialogue between Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam and Imam Hussain alayhi salam. We usually listen to this dialogue during the Shahada, Bayan of Shahada of Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam. But it really explains the maturity of this son of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Hazrat Ali Akbar, Shabi Rasul. Once Imam Hussain alayhi salam, during this journey, he said he was on the back of the horse, had a nap for a moment, saw something in the dream, and then he explained. First he said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen." We know the sentence is said when a person feels that some musibah is going to come, some calamity. He said these words twice or thrice. Hazrat Ali Akbar was there and he asked the father, "Mimma hammadallah wastarja'ta." "Oh my father, what was the reason of saying this?" Imam Hussain alayhi salam explained, "Ya bunayya, inni khafaqtu khafqatan." I was on the back of the horse, I had a nap and I saw something. There was a person who was saying that this caravan is moving ahead towards the conclusion, towards death. Yasiruna wal manaya tasiru ilayhim. They are moving somewhere and death is approaching them. فَعَلِمْتُ أَنَّهَا أَنفُسَنَا. So I understood, I was very clear that the person was talking about our caravan. What Hazrat Ali Akbar said? He asked a question. Ya abate, alasna ala al-haq? Oh my father, just tell me one thing. Are we not on the right path? Are we not on haq? Imam Hussain alayhi salam replied, Bala wallazi ilayhi marji'ul ibad. For sure, by God, qasam billah, uqsum billah, we are on the right path. There is no doubt about it. And now Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam replied, Isn't la nubali, then I don't care. Then I don't care. Aw kana alal maut, it makes no difference if death comes to us or we approach death. There is no difference. If this is the case, if this is not the case, then definitely we are going to accept halakat. Accepting halakat is not a matter of pride. Accepting shahadat is a matter of pride. If we are on the right path, then there is no issue. I don't care. I don't have any problem. If we go and accept death or death approaches us, it's all equal. This is a statement similar, a statement made by Amirul Mu'mineen, Hazrat Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. The sixth point for today, it's never too late to repent. Never too late to repent. It's never too late. In this tragedy, during this event of Karbala, this historical tragedy, we find many persons who changed their lives, who changed their destiny. Top of the list, you all know Hazrat Hur alayhi salatu wassalam. A person who actually surrounded the caravan of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, who stopped them. A person who said that I will not allow you to place your tents close to Euphrates, Furat. And what happened? On the day of Ashura, he is coming before Imam Hussain alayhi salam in a unique way, asking for forgiveness. He is saying, is it possible to accept my repentance? And Imam Hussain alayhi salam really impressed him. Really, he said that you are forgiven by me and by my Lord Almighty Allah. Now this is the confidence. Who can say this? I can say about myself that I can forgive you. You can say about myself, you can forgive me. But about Almighty Allah, only representative of Almighty Allah can say such sentence, can utter these words. Imam Hussain alayhi salam says, I have forgiven you, and not only myself, but Almighty Allah has also forgiven you. Now you are like what your name is. Hur. Hur means a free person. Now if you connect and compare the statement earlier I quoted when he said, Ya Shiyat Abi Sufyan, in lam yakun lakum dinun, wala kuntum takhafun al-ma'at, kunu ahraran fi dunyakum. Ahrar. Ahrar means a person who is free. Hur. Ahrar is derived from Hur. His name was Hur. Now his character became Hur. He really became free from the influence of Yazid, from the influence of Ibn Ziyad, from the influence of Umar ibn Sa'd. And he said, and made very clear, I am not in position to accept the hellfire. I find myself between paradise and hellfire, and I don't have any courage to accept hellfire. Although he knew very clearly if he is crossing the floor. We all know a person crosses floor when he finds something attractive the other side. Or as far as worldly pleasures are concerned, he was not going to get anything. He was going to lose everything. He will not get any reward from Ibn Ziyad. He will not get any appreciation from Yazid. He will not get any jazaya, any other thing from the ruler. He was compromising everything. In fact, he was compromising his worldly life. This materialistic, this mortal life, he was really compromising. But he was ready for that because he was really visionary. He was thinking. He had free thinking. He was visionary. A person who thinks 10 years down the road, we call him visionary. A person who thinks 50 years down the road, we say he is really visionary. A leader who thinks 100 years down the road, we call him visionary. What about a person who thinks about hereafter? He is not confined to this world. He is thinking about Qiyamah. He is thinking about the ultimate result. Hur was really visionary. He said, okay, I know I'm going to compromise my life. I will have to accept Shahada. But after that, in any case, I'm not going to live on this face of earth forever. I will have to accept death one day. Kullu nafsin zaiqatul maut. He was clear. His understanding, his comprehension became very clear on the day of Ashura. Late, but accepted. Imam Hussain alayhi salam really accepted it. He was not the only case. Other than Hur, there were many examples. For example, Zuhair ibn Qayn. Zuhair ibn Qayn earlier, he was considered opponent of Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam. Kana yu'addu Usmaniyan. And there was a revolution, internal revolution within Zuhair ibn Qayn. How? On the way back, when Imam Hussain alayhi salam, actually he did not perform Hajj. You know very well that within the boundaries of Haram, there were people who wanted to kill Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Imam was very clear that I would like to be murdered. If so, I would like to accept Shahada outside Haram. The sanctity of Haram should be maintained. He was out. Zuhair ibn Qayn actually performed Hajj. And he had a very little caravan, few people. Imam Hussain al-Islam's caravan was bigger. So he had to stop more than that caravan of Zuhair ibn Qayn. At once, earlier, what was the position of Zuhair ibn Qayn? He wanted to remain neutral. He did not want to become the party. He was very clear about his opinion. He said, I will not support Yazid. I will not support Imam Hussain al-Islam either. I will remain neutral. And he did not want to meet Imam Hussain alayhi salam. You know, during journey there are many places which are called stations, where caravans stop to eat, to do rest, and then they will continue their journey. Zuhair ibn Qayn used to ask this station, if Imam Hussain alayhi salam is here, if the reply was positive, he would move ahead. At one station, he had no other option because the next station, subsequent one, was really far. So he had to stop there. Although Imam Hussain was also there. And he was having a dinner or lunch with his family. And at that time he found somebody knocking on the door of the tent. And he asked, who is there? The person there, he said that I am the representative. I have some message from Imam Hussain for you. Imam wants to meet you. He has called you. Zuhair ibn Qayn, he had something in his hand to eat, and which fell down. The wife of Zuhair ibn Qayn said, at least go and listen what Imam wants to say. At least listen. Zuhair ibn Qayn said, yes, I will have to go there. He went there, and when he came back, he said, he was changed. History actually does not report what was the conversation between Imam Hussain alayhi salam and Zuhair ibn Qayn. But history reports this. Zuhair ibn Qayn returned and said, addressed the family and friends, I have decided to sacrifice my life with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. I have decided. You see, he was very clear. There was no worldly objective. There was no green side. Imam Hussain alayhi salam had not made any false promises. He was very clear. I have decided to sacrifice my life with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. I am going there. Who wants to join me, he can join. Otherwise, you your way, I my way. And Imam Hussain alayhi salam really accepted him. At that time, really, we should appreciate the character of the wife of Zuhair ibn Qayn. She really encouraged him to go there. At that time, Zuhair ibn Qayn said, even I did not realize who Imam Hussain alayhi salam sent to bring me, to deliver the message. Imam Hussain alayhi salam sent nobody else but Shabi Rasul Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam. That really touched the heart of Zuhair ibn Qayn. Here I would like to quote one hadith of Masoom, and on that I would like to conclude at least today's session, tonight's session. Man taba qabla mawtihi bis-sanatin qubilat tawbatuhu. Now this is the hope that Masoom wants to be in the heart of every believer. Man taba qabla mawtihi bis-sanatin qubilat tawbatuhu. One who repents an year before his death, his tawbah is accepted. Repentance means coming back. You are on some distance and you are coming back. That is repentance. A person by committing sin had gone far. He was away from the closeness of Almighty Allah. And now he is doing tawbah, he is repenting, that means he is coming back. Imam says, Man taba qabla mawtihi bisanatin qubilat tawbatuhu. One who repents an year before his death, his tawbah is accepted. Then Imam says, 1 year, it is too much. Then he says, rephrases, Man taba qabla mawtihi bishahrin. One who repents a month before his death, his tawbah is also accepted. Now look at the way Imam is explaining. Then Imam says, even a month is too much. Man taba qabla mawtihi bi usbu'in qubilat tawbatuhu. One who repents a week before his death, even his tawbah is accepted. Then Imam says, even 1 week is more. It's too much. Man taba qabla mawtihi bi yawmin qubilat tawbatuhu. One who repents a day before his death, even his tawbah is accepted. Then Imam says, even a day is more. It's too much. Man taba qabla mawtihi bi sa'atin qubilat tawbatuhu. One who repents a moment before his death, even his tawbah is accepted. Of course, acceptance of tawbah does not mean a person is not required to fulfill the requirements. Other duties, for example, namaz, if it is his liability, he is supposed to discharge. Other hukukun nas, rights of other humans, they are supposed to be discharged, they are supposed to be done. But the hope which should remain alive in the heart of a person, that his door of tawbah is open. He has not said, get out, get lost. No, this is not the case. And we can see very clearly the case of Janab Hur alayhi salam, the case of Zuhair ibn Qayn, and there are many other examples in the tragedy of Karbala, where Imam Hussain alayhi salam really allowed them to come forward, do their tawbah, and become the part of Imam Hussain alayhi salam's army. A moment before death, but we don't know when this moment would come. This is why Imam Ali alayhi salam says, every moment consider it as a last moment. Because you don't know, you never know when this last moment would come. I would like to repeat these 6 points. Still there are many more to come inshallah tomorrow. Number 1, don't accept humiliation. These are the lessons that we derive from the tragedy of Karbala, from the life of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Number 1, do not accept humiliation. Self-esteem should not be compromised, must not be compromised. Number 2, keep an open mind. The process of thinking should not be stopped. Number 3, a deeper understanding of death. Death is not the end. In fact, it is the opening of a new era. Number 4, awareness. Don't keep your followers in darkness. Make the things clear for them. Where you are heading, what is your objective, what is your target. Number 5, support the truth. First understand the truth, the standard, and then support the truth. And number 6, never too late to repent. The door of Tawbah, the gate of Tawbah will remain open before the last moment of your death. With this, I would like to conclude. I would like to invite your questions, if any. I would like to, and I will try to answer them, inshallah. And I pray really to Almighty Allah to hasten the reappearance of Imam Zamana Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, and may he declare us all in the army of Imam Zamana Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif.
I know there were 8 or 9 people who crossed floor from the side to Imam Hussein's side. Was there anyone who crossed the floor from other side?
Not a single. Not a single. And this is really surprising. There are many who crossed the floor from Yazid's side to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Top of the list, as I said, Hur bin Yazid Riyahi. But there was not a single person, not a single, on the day of Ashura, who crossed the floor from Imam Hussain alayhi salam's side and moved to Yazid's army. Not a single. Not a single.
One moment of repentance. So after repentance, you have to sacrifice your life. Then the repentance will be accepted. Because when the Pharaoh was dying in the river of Nile, he said, "Oh Musa, I accepted your God and accepted you." So, but he was not.
Amantu bi Rabbi Musa wa Harun. Yes, that's true. But after seeing the azab, you see there's a difference. Now this was the statement given when? Before death or at the time of death? There's a difference between two things. For example, a person is watching the angel Israel, who is ready to accept who is ready to usurp his soul. This is not the last moment. This is the moment of death. What I said, man taba qabla mawtihi bisa'atin qabla mawtihi. Before the death, the last moment before the death. The moment of death, the moment before death, and the moment after death. These are three different moments. A moment before death. This was discussed, this has been discussed by many scholars many times, including Ayatollah Nasir Makarim Shirazi in Tafsir and Namuna. And you will find many other places where this matter is discussed. That where once we read this, that Masum says, Man taba qabla mawtihi bisa'atin qubilat tawbatahu. A moment before death, if a person is doing his tawbah, it is accepted. And on the other hand, we are seeing that the Pharaoh, he is dying, is wrong. And at that time he says, Amanto. And Almighty replied, Al-an, now, you see, now, time has lapsed. Now there is no other muhla remaining. This is the moment of death, when he was seeing that azab from his eyes. So that was not the moment before his death, that was the moment of death. There's a difference between these two things. Anyway, very good question. I really appreciate the question. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.